Thank you, Miss Bales, for meeting with me.
You're welcome.
So, the lesson that I observed was a lesson during the literacy block, and it was the introduction to the Wolves unit.
Okay.
It was when you were doing the jigsaw. And so, first, I just kind of want to run through what I observed, but before that, I'd like to know how do you think that activity went?
Well, I know that the students, the scholars enjoyed it a lot because they just weren't just sitting in their seat. But it was kind of chaotic in the sense that they didn't remember where they were going. I didn't know where they were going. So, being that it was the first time jigsaw, I know that next time I do this, what needs to be, that I had to prepare more to get it done. So it had stuff to be desired.
Okay, overall though, how do you think the scholars did in regard to retaining information and connections and things that they saw throughout the jigsaw?
The connections they thought were really cool because they got to see wolves not just in pictures but in different habitats as well. So they really enjoyed that. So I think the connections of how wolves look, how they live in communities and groups was helpful to them.
So they had like some kind of like cross-curricular component with
yes, because in social studies we're doing communities.
Okay.
So that worked. So there's not just human communities but animal communities as well.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through what I observed and then we'll talk about it. So I have. As the observation begins, scholars are called by table to retrieve gallery walk papers from their scholar towers. So this was to, refresh our memories. This was an extension of an activity that was carried out the day before.
Yes, we started the unit Lon Popo, which is about wolves, and it's a Chinese version of Little Red Riding Hood.
Mm-hmm. And so it was a little bit, you had done the activity the day before, but you were finishing it up.
Correct.
Okay. You remind scholars that at this point in time, they should only have toured 3 stations. You then had the tables go to the last picture that they were at from yesterday. But when the scholars got up, they all immediately began talking. There was no redirect for that. And I know, like, in your classroom, you have a very communal classroom, and you guys get along really well.
Right.
But you probably, moving forward, want to nip that.
Okay.
I think conversation's great, and I think it's great that your class is comfortable, but we want to maybe set parameters of what the expectation is when you're doing an activity like a jigsaw. Okay. It may be beneficial to even have a couple of scholars with you and model for them, okay, when we're jigsawing, this is the expectation. When we're up out of our seats, this is how we're going to transition. Okay. So it says in here that you did not address it, but then I stepped in and I told them to do it again. And remember, even if it's not, they're not doing it to be bad or to be out of sorts, right, to say, because you have a good classroom culture, but we just want to instill that structure and okay, have them do it again. Okay. So then I had, there was some confusion as to where some groups ended yesterday. So moving forward, it would make sense to write down the last groups left off. So okay, any kind of group activity where they're rotating or something, just, they left off on this picture or on this page, just so that there's no downtime wasted. Okay. Because even though it wasn't a lot, every second counts. Right. I mean, we want to make sure that we're keeping all of our instructional minutes. Okay. And then I had, at one point, a pencil was sharpened. Are you utilizing your sharpened and unsharpened buckets? And the reason I'm asking that is because when I was in there, I was looking for them, and I didn't see them. So I'm not saying that you're not, but are you using those?
They're on the windowsill.
Okay.
Now, they may have been behind other things because I'm running out of space, but I have a bucket, runs green, that says go or stop on it, or green, go. And the one's kind of a pink that says stop. So you normally have them switched out before that is time to go. So, yeah.
And like I was telling Miss Ballin, like, I'm not... The pencil buckets that's just something that I did when I was a teacher, right, and I feel like it helps save instructional minutes, and so I don't use it or not, but I think that it would be best to use it because then there's no downtime with sharpeners. You don't have to worry about kids running up and down the sharpener, and I would just make sure you have sharpened pencils on hand. Okay, so I had for your key strength that you did a nice job utilizing jigsaw as a form of differentiation and engagement. Okay. I think that you do a phenomenal job with differentiating instruction.
Thank you.
I've seen it in math in so many different ways. I think you're an amazing math teacher, amazing. Can you give me some other examples where you differentiate, or give me some examples in math or science or any subject where you differentiate?
In science, I tend to break down the subjects even further. If we're talking about science or some solar systems, and I know they've got the grasp of all the planets, I'll let them work with planet cards and come up with information as well. Whereas if they still don't know the planets, I will sit with that group or have them work out a poem that can help them to distinguish which planets come where.
Okay, and then why don't you tell me a little bit more about how you've differentiated in math before?
In math, it's not so much how many they complete, but how accurate the ones are. So if a student only gets 2 or 3 problems correct, then that to me is better than a student who gets 10 problems wrong. It's not quantity, it's not quantity, it's quality, excuse me. So I let them know that it's better to ask and get help and let me walk around and help them and maybe only have 1 or 2 problems done than say, I didn't complete this, I'm going to get a bad grade, just write numbers down. And so I break that down to let them know working on one and getting it right is more important than getting the whole page completed if they're wrong.
So focusing more on mastery. I've seen you do some really cool things with colors for math. I've seen you do a lot. I want to commend you on your Think Alouds. I know we talked about that before. That was something that I wanted you to work on. I know that maybe traditionally you're not used to that model,
Right.
but I've seen you do that, and I think that thinking aloud in your instruction and actually, instead of asking the kids all the time, but actually explaining your thinking is going to help them through the process.
It seems to be.
So I think that's great. Okay, so
my anchor charts, I have sections and colors as well.
Yeah, and you also have different units or themes that go with different
like all my times are one colors and all
uh-huh.
my measurements are one colors and all my length is in one color.
Yeah.
So it's by subject too.
Yeah, that's really good. So I have for your action step, fail to plan, plan to fail.
I agree.
So basically, you must be prepared in all aspects of your lessons, from transitions to materials. And I know we talked about lesson planning and being not that you're not prepared, but making sure that we're more prepared and that
right.
things are more scripted out because we don't want to waste any time because we don't have time to waste. And then what I'd like you to do based on this observation is I want you to make sure that you pre-plan your transitions and mark them up in your plans. Again, the lesson was good. The jigsawing activity itself was phenomenal. You lost instructional minutes, and we can't afford to do that.
Right.
So what I thought we could do is we could brainstorm some different ideas to transition.
Okay.
And then moving forward, I'd like to see those on your plans. You don't have to type them in, but I'd like you to write them on there.
Okay.
Just because I don't want any downtime, especially for third. So I looked online and I found some ideas, and then we can just come up with some together. I'm sure you've used some in the past. I've used some in the past too. So the first one I thought of is playing music from a CD.
Okay.
So you could either do playing music, like you have a certain class song. You could do like the IU theme. That'd be kind of cool.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah. You could do
my call to order. There's no excuses except giving up and not trying, and say it 3 times, and then they have to be in their seats or at their centers.
So some kind of song, you could do the Tinley Summit song, Shine Me, and use that. I mean, there's all kinds of fun ones, but that could be something. I know Cellini does. This is our transition song, we transition, but they go around, so right. You could do something like that. But any kind of song, kids love music, and that could be one. Another idea is flashing the lights on and off. So you could assign a scholar and say, okay, we transition, you're in charge of the lights.
Okay.
Let's see. Begin a rhythmic clapping pattern. If you want to observe someone do this really well, you should. Barnett does a lot of good things, but I would say observe Seidler for this.
Really?
Seidler does. This is so cool. She'll have a kid. Okay, you're in charge. And it rotates in her class. Okay, you're in charge of the transition beat for today, and the kid will make a beat like. And then they all start doing it, and then they have to do the beat until the transition's done. So if it's a transition while papers are being passed out, like one person's the beat master. If it's a transition where, okay, everyone's going to move to this section, then they're in charge of the beat for that transition.
That is cool.
So that's one you could do.
Okay.
Another strategy that would be good is the Give Me 5. And you've probably heard of that one before.
That's the one I actually do. I'm like, I give them 5 seconds. You have 5 seconds to get to center 5, 4. And I don't always count by ones. I count like 3 or 5, 3, 1. And that means I have to move even quicker. So I do the countdown by 5s.
Okay, and then this one actually, well, you could use the countdown too, but this one is actually, okay, like I need your legs crossed, I need your hands still, I need your ears listening, I need your eyes watching, I need your lips zipped. So those are the 5 things I'm looking for.
Okay, I like that one.
That's one you could try. Let's see. Using any kind of instrument. Another thing that might be good is using some sort of a digital timer.
Yeah, I keep meaning to ask you for the one for my whiteboard, but my whiteboard doesn't, it's flipping out again, so.
Okay, so we have to send in another work order for it, but we need to make sure that that gets handled because that would be really good. They have, and then there's that one timer that like plays the music too.
I like that one.
I like that one too. Okay, let's see.
I also do the if you can hear me clap once, if you can hear me clap twice.
Okay.
And that gets them centered very quickly. Because I know there's no such thing as really getting to 5.
Yeah, to grab them, or yeah.
I mean, if I get to 5, they usually lose something they want. I can resist.
Like some kind of incentive.
Yes.
The other one I was thinking of that I've seen Talma do, and now granted it's Kinder, but it works good.
I'm sure.
He has different colored masking tape on the floor at different sections in the room.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So, like when his kids are transitioning in reading, he'll say, okay, this group needs to line up on the blue line. This group go to red. Go to here. And so that way they know what line they're supposed to be on or where they're going to move to.
That is a good idea.
So that's one that we can do.
I thought about doing that on the hallway. So the kids coming in can stand on one tape and the kids leaving the room can stand on the other. That way they're not, parallel to each other and doing this, and trying to get out and trying to get in at the same time.
Yeah, no, and that would be good, especially because you and Wolf rotate for a reading. I think that would help, and it would make it more efficient.
Okay.
Because I think both you guys are doing an excellent job in regard to making sure that like right away we come in, no loss of time on task. But if the transitions were smoother, it would be even if it was just a minute or two, that would it would help. So
and we lose that time during when they leave. I mean, once they're in class, they're right on it. Mm-hmm. But from the doorway to the doorway, even though they're quiet in the hallway, they're bumping to see who can get out of the room first, who can get in the hallway first. Mm-hmm. So, that is a big problem there.
So I think that would definitely help. So the next time that we meet, I want to see how this goes.
Okay.
When you put your lesson plans out on your clipboard next week, I'd like to see transitions marked up in areas where the kids are rotating around the room.
Okay.
So again, we have the playing of some type of song, maybe flashing the lights, a countdown, usage of a digital timer, or it could even be a phone timer if you want to set a timer. Okay.
I've got one on my phone and I use it.
I'll give you this many seconds.
Okay.
Whatever. But we need to get your smartboard fixed because if the kids have a visual, it's better. So they know, and they have 30 seconds or whatever. If you can hear my voice, clap once, clap twice, and then, the possibility of putting tape. Do you have 2 that you think you could try for next week out of these?
I want to do a timer, at least on my phone, if nothing else.
Okay.
And the tape across, I don't know can I go across the hallway? Or just do some like outside my door? Because I've got the Colts one, which means I may have to move it over so it's not so right in the middle. But the tape outside the hallway too, so they know where to line up, and then talk with Miss Wolf and get tape on her side. So you could say, coming into the room here, going into the room, you go there, going out the room here, because she has one in her room too. Mm-hmm.
I would just be I think it's fine. And actually, when we're done, I'm going to go to my office and give you some. I have yellow tape in my office, and then we have blue. I think we have red too in the back storage supply. But what I was going to say is make sure that you model what you want it to look like. Okay. Because all these transitions are great, but if you don't model them, they're going to be a hot mess, and they're going to be more chaotic than they were before you had the transition. Okay. So just make sure that you model with the kids before.
Cool. Okay. Because I've got some tape too, but we could use just regular tape.
Yeah. So tape and timer. All right. So I'll get you tape right now, and then I look forward to seeing this. I want to see this marked on your plans next week.
Okay.
Okay.
I can do that.
All right.
Well, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Carrie.
You're welcome.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.